Israel Adesanya and Sean Strickland is not happening for UFC 293. Am I hearing this correctly? That the UFC doesn't want to make the most no-brainer money fight of all time, given the press conferences, given the trash talk, given, I'm going to be honest, how easy of a title defense to make Israel Adesanya an even bigger star in the UFC's middleweight division. The UFC doesn't want to make Sean Strickland versus Israel Adesanya. Are they afraid that Sean Strickland is going to say something crazy on the mic after he beats and knocks out Adesanya? Do they just not want to have Sean Strickland as champion? Whatever the reasons are, Sean Strickland is coming out and saying that the UFC does not want his fight to happen. He suggests, I do not think the UFC wants Adesanya versus Sean Strickland. And we got Jerry Cannonier chiming in as well, saying he'd love to step in and do the rematch. He doesn't believe Sean Strickland deserves it because he has a win over Sean Strickland and he got the win over Marvin Vettori. So he's putting his name in the hat for the rematch. But let's be honest, nobody in their right mind would like to see a Jerry Cannonier Israel Adesanya rematch. That's just not something on the table in my opinion. But Sean Strickland, UFC, you gotta get this fight to happen. Why in the world would you not? Why would you not want Sean Strickland? The only reason I could think is if he somehow wins, which I don't think he will, but if he somehow wins against Adesanya, that'll kind of ruin Adesanya's star capability, and that'll just catapult such a notorious and crazy type of guy in Sean Strickland. Unhinged would be the word. One of these kind of personalities on ESPN, owned by Disney, would not be good for the UFC because ESPN might be like, we do not want this guy as champion. We do not want this guy anywhere near our monster logos, our ESPN logo, and advertising the ESPN and stuff like that. To have Sean Strickland's name behind that, I don't think most of the brands would want that. Or maybe that's what the UFC would think. That's the only reason I could think that the UFC wouldn't want this fight to be made. Because it's a no-brainer. If Dricus du Plessis can't fight, Sean Strickland makes so much sense. Sean Strickland, Israel Adesanya, in Adesanya's home country, essentially like the easiest win for Adesanya, given freaking Strickland goes like this the whole entire fight. The cardio is pretty similar, so it's not like Strickland's going to come back in those later rounds. It's not like Strickland's going to take down Adesanya, and Strickland said himself he doesn't have the power to knock out really anybody in the middleweight division. I mean, come on, UFC. It's one of the easiest wins for Adesanya to just continue his wins in the middleweight division. Maybe by the end of his career, you give him guys like Sean Strickland, he might have the most wins in UFC middleweight history, and you can have a huge, even bigger star in your hands right there. Again, the only reason would be if Sean wins, they're not going to be happy. We will be happy. That'll be so funny, and I'll meme the heck out of that. We'll be happy. But the UFC and the ESPN and Disney, none of them are going to be happy about Strickland as the UFC middleweight champion. But what do y'all think? I would have gotten Izzy to win that fight. I would have been rooting, like screaming out of my lungs. I probably would have put Israel Adesanya in all of my parlays. I don't care. I'd still be rooting for Sean Strickland. I'd rather lose all of my money on the parlay than have Sean Strickland lose that fight. I'd rather have it that way because Sean Strickland as a champion would be so much free content, so much crazy press conferences. He'd be mainstream at that point. Casual people just walking on the street. Do you know who Sean Strickland is? Oh yeah, he's the guy that knocked out Adesanya. He would be mainstream. It would be amazing in my opinion. But I don't know. UFC might not want it. That's what Strickland's saying. And I don't understand. Even if you lose sponsors because of it, even if the UFC starts to get a little bit of a worse reputation because of Sean's antics, which are kind of hilarious in my opinion. Even if that happens, it's still publicity. I know a lot of people like to say, not all publicity is good publicity. Negative publicity is still publicity. You're still getting more eyes to the UFC. You're still getting more people to tune in and watch and just see what is the next thing Strickland is going to say. Whose grandma did he just talk about? Oh my gosh, he pushed over a grandma down the stairs. I don't know. I don't know what Strickland's going to do, but it'd be entertaining. It would be awesome. UFC, if you're watching this, which you're not, I'm a very small YouTube channel. I know you're not, but if you are, somehow do it. Come on. Strickland Adesanya, UFC 293. I don't care that Strickland's the number 6 contender. I do not want this. Simple as that. I do not want a Jared Cannonier rematch. I'd rather do Jared Cannonier versus Robert Whittaker rematch because that was a close fight in their first one. They're both right next to each other in the rankings. Whittaker's looking to get back with a win. Cannonier is looking for a title shot. Beating Marvin Vettori is not enough to get you a title shot, in my opinion, especially after losing a really boring fight to Adesanya before that. But if you can beat Whittaker, we give Drickus the title shot after Strickland. Boom. Then, dude, Jared, I'd be all for you. If you can go out there and beat Whittaker, I'll be all for you getting your title shot. I'll be screaming, Jared deserves that title fight. I know the first fight was boring, but he just beat Whittaker. We got to give him that shot. Come on, UFC. You know what to do. Make this fight. You know what to do. Come on.